Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and will arrive at episode 306, where there's intellectual rigor and wisdom, but never a thoughtful fist. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
I'm better.
You sound
Yay!
better.
Got a little hang around of nasal stuff, but that's about it. Got my voice back. Feeling better. No fever all week.
That's good.
Yeah.
Just in time for the holidays.
That's right. Hopefully I got over it and nobody else got it because the kids have performances come up and my dad and my sister are in a play and I'm all weekend long thinking, oh, I'm going to get everybody sick. I know I'm going to get everybody sick before their performances start.
And you're just a little black rain cloud, aren't you?
I know, huh? Good thing I'm not performing. Although I'd be well by opening, I suppose.
Yeah.
Just every week here.
That's right. What'd you guys do?
We didn't do much. We went and saw Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
So did I.
Again?
Oh, wait. I already reviewed that, didn't I?
Well, you talked about going to see it
You
again.
talked about going to see it again.
I
Maybe
did,
changed your
didn't I?
mind.
Yeah.
What did you think, Keith?
I enjoyed it. For the most part, I enjoyed it. It has pacing issues, but I was engrossed enough that I didn't mind it. I had enough fun watching it that I didn't mind it. She does, as an author, tend to have a crutch, at least in the first of the installments, that I saw the big twist coming. I don't want to say much more than that, because I know you haven't seen it yet, Sean.
No, not yet.
I think some of it lost its magic and appeal to me, setting in it in America. I don't know, there's just something very British about Harry Potter, that transplanting that world here, I know it's supposed to exist, but it just doesn't quite work as well for me. Like the phrases, just non-mage.
Non-mage instead of muggle.
Yeah, just, why even change that, I guess? I don't know. I'm willing to see what happens in the next movie. Sarah didn't love it as much as she thought she would, but she's a much bigger Harry Potter fan than me, too. But her bigger issue was she's not sure that sort of story works in a setting where they're trying to suppress magic. That's a big thing of, as opposed to Hogwarts where magic is encouraged and you're learning, and in New York City you got to try to keep it quiet and big climactic finale and they've got to cover it all up, kind of Torchwood syndrome.
No group of wizards standing on Fifth Avenue with wands out yelling Merca.
No.
Might be a good thing.
But I enjoy the movie. I look forward to watching it more than another time. I heard there's a lot more nuance in there than I probably was able to absorb. So I do look forward to digging into more of that world.
Now, do either of you feel, because this is a prequel, obviously set well before, do any of you
1930s.
Either of you feel like there's I kind of wish I'd have watched this one as a refresher going into it, or is it just as long as you kind of sort of remember Harry Potter, you're fine?
I did feel in the beginning like I was thrown into the deep end. Like it's not like the first Harry Potter film where you gradually work your way into it. You are in there and you're deep, and if you aren't fresh up on everything, there's some things that are going to fly over your head. But that being said, it's still done well enough that non-Harry Potter fans could go into this movie and still get everything.
Okay.
I just felt like there was some stuff in the beginning that was kind of going past me just because I haven't brushed up recently.
We kind of entertained the thought of going back for a rewatch just because it's been a while since I've sat down and watched all the Harry Potters, but at the same time going into the holidays and the busyness, and that's 8 films and it's a prequel anyway, so
Well, and it's one of those. I only caught a couple of strong references to the main movies. Couple of strong ones.
There's just a big one.
And then a smaller one.
Okay. Well, but I think it kind of ties together too. So.
Well, I think so too, and I think that sets up future things also. So,
which I think it was. I don't know if it was just you and me or you and me talking about how they were going to do more films based on based in this universe. But now I know. Now I know.
Yeah, now.
Well, at least 4 more.
Yeah.
For this particular run.
And one of those nods to the other films, I wouldn't have thought had as big of an impact if it weren't a person I recognized in just a picture.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. It's a name drop, but it sets up.
Not Albus, but
no.
The other guy.
No. Somebody else completely different.
Aberforth, but no. That's who you're thinking about.
That's what I'm thinking of. Aberforth. Because he's supposed to be in one of them. But
did you guys hear who's rumored to be the young Dumbledore in the next film? Strong rumored is Arthur Darvill.
Oh. All right.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I suppose it depends on how young.
I think he'd be too young, I think. Because I get the impression Dumbledore's like very, very old. Because even in the flashbacks that we got when Hagrid was at school,
it was
Michael
Gambon and
it was
was it
Richard?
Was it Richard Harris in the flashbacks?
Because that was in the second one, Chamber of Secrets.
Oh yeah. I was thinking of the other flashbacks with Tom Riddle.
Oh, there was that one too, which had Michael Gambon, and he was quite young there too. So
that's right.
Not quite young, quite old.
Yeah, okay, we were on the same time.
Yeah, sorry.
Boy, I need to go back and rewatch this movie.
I was thinking of
if for nothing else, for the Dumbledore flashbacks.
Apparently.
When Hagrid got in trouble for having
okay. Yeah.
The giant
Agog?
Yeah, that one.
That one.
It's a giant spider. It doesn't need a name. It's just, hello, giant spider.
The movie did really make me want to go pick up the next Harry Potter book, since I haven't finished reading them all. So
really,
that's something too.
I thought you'd finished them.
Just 4. I
finally got stalled out on 4.
I finally finished 4. It took me a while to start 4.
Well, that's the longest one, so
that's true.
Also, I know there are people who like it. My humble opinion, it's the worst of the bunch. I did not like 4.
It was better than I thought it would be. Consider it was my least favorite of the movies.
It's better than the movie, but the movie's also my least favorite of the films for similar reasons.
Order of the Phoenix, I think, is one of my favorites. The 5th one. And one of my favorite movies.
I would agree with
anyway, what else did you do?
There's our Harry Potter talk for the week.
I didn't do anything else, Sean.
Well, you did go out and see a movie, but it was not Fantastic Beasts. We went and saw Moana.
Moana? How was Moana?
It was awesome. I really, 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 really liked it. It's fun and funny and bright and colorful, and I feel like they got the Polynesian mythos right, and they were respectful about it, which is something that I appreciate. And in a way, the best bits, which I think it makes sense when you see the story and the way it's laid out, because there just wouldn't have been room for it. But what was kind of surprising is the fact for a quote-unquote Disney princess movie, there's no love story crammed in there.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
So I was like, all right, cool. But no, I think I liked it better than both Frozen and Zootopia, which are ones that I praised pretty highly. But I really liked this one. It had fun songs, too. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson sings. I kept listening for it going, I can't tell if that's actually him or if they got one of those other guys to come in and do singing, and his name's in the credits, performed by. I was like, he's a multi-talented individual.
So the songs are really great?
Songs are great. I loved them. In fact, I entertained buying the soundtrack, which I haven't bought a Disney soundtrack since
it is
The Lion King.
It is Lin-Manuel Miranda, so I mean.
But, yeah, good stuff. Really, really, really enjoyed it.
I'm looking forward to seeing that one eventually. Did you see anything, Glenn?
I didn't really watch anything this week. We set up our Christmas inside and all that taken care of. I didn't get quite to get to the outside. Of course, then everybody had Thanksgiving on Thursday. We had lunch dinner with my folks, and then of course I had to work. So.
I was hoping to get to mine Saturday when it was gorgeous, but
your Thanksgiving or your Christmas?
My decorations. Okay. We did Thanksgiving on Thursday, and then we did another Thanksgiving on Friday, which was. Ugh.
I bought some good supplies to do more decorations outside, and bought those Saturday, and thought, I'll do those today. Nope. Too windy and rainy.
Yeah.
Today was a really bad day for it.
Yep. That was my problem. We decorated inside yesterday, and I thought I could decorate outside today, and then I should have reversed. That's all right.
Yeah.
Interior is done.
So Mel said she saw your picture on Facebook. She's like, Glenn's already got his Christmas tree up. And I'm like, yeah. It's like 2 hours after Thanksgiving. I'm surprised it took him this long.
I'm surprised he wasn't waiting to plug in the tree.
If I hadn't worked Thursday and Friday, it probably wouldn't have waited until Saturday. What happened Thursday night?
In my mind, Glenn there's a special button on the wall in his house that just says Christmas, and he pushes the button and the floor goes, and the tree's already up and lit.
If I could do that, that would be awesome, because then every once in a while, like in July, when I just am in a Christmas spirit, I could push the button and do it for an hour or two. Yeah, because I couldn't get away with that with the family. Mason might be all right with that. He likes Christmas a lot, too. We got his tree put up downstairs, too, so he pretty much did most of it himself, too.
Ooh,
He's got a Santa Claus theme, so all of his ornaments are pretty much Santa Claus. We got some baubles on there that are just Christmassy colors, and then Holly bought him a Santa hat, but it's got Santa's face on it, and then the Santa hat, and so he put that on top of the tree.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. That's all I did this week.
Fun stuff.
Well, should we move on to news?
Yes. Our first bit of news, if you did not see it on our Facebook page, Time Eddy 3 announced their first guest for next year, Mr. Sylvester McCoy himself.
Yay!
That's exciting.
If they'd have done Peter first and then Colin, they'd have done all the Doctors in a row so far. Holding out hope that in 2018 we get 8.
Yes.
Because I've actually met these 3 now. I need to meet.
I know.
I've got 8's autograph thanks to Sean, but I still need to meet an 8.
And get a Night of the Doctor autograph.
Yeah, that's what I should do.
That's what I planned on.
Definitely.
So that's super
I might
exciting.
get a with nail autograph. That'd be kind of cool.
That should be kind of clever.
I wonder what his
you
reaction
get
to that
him
would
and
be.
Richard E. Grant on that.
You should get both him and I on there. And oh, he was I, wasn't he?
He was I.
Yeah.
He was
so
I.
you should get with Nell and I on there, and then get them both to sign it. That'd be awesome.
So that'll be fun. That's coming up in October.
Very, very excited for Time Eddy to come back.
Of course, tickets and rooms are available now. So go book those while you can. October 20th and the 22nd.
And I know that
Through the 22nd.
We've said this before, but if you're kind of hemming and hawing about making a trip to the wilds of Kansas for this thing, if you've not met Sylvester, you need to come meet Sylvester.
Yeah.
He's a blast. I've seen him twice. Well, once I was there on the panel with him, but
Do we really get to say that we were on stage with him? Because
we were for the first
for a few minutes.
We were for the first 10 minutes and the last 5.
he was on stage, and then we were on stage, and then he left the stage.
But then he came back to the stage.
I'll not take it personal, but no, you need to come see Sylvester. So come to Time Eddy.
And I hope Kieran is working on getting a wireless microphone for him.
Yeah, we probably should give him a heads up on that.
New venues, so who knows what they're going to have to offer.
That's true. Any surprise Power of the Daleks news this week?
No surprise Power of the Daleks news.
No glitches.
No
It's
glitches.
just in. It's still not on.
Oh, it was on.
Just
one episode at a time.
Not the way it was supposed to.
Episode 2 aired.
All right.
Our
Are there
other
any ratings numbers out yet?
I don't know. I haven't seen those. Our other bit of news, Candy Jar have announced the next Lethbridge Stewart ebook, The Wishing Bazaar. Back from New York, Lethbridge Stewart is investigating one of the strangest cases he has come across his desk yet. Wishes are coming true, and there's one thing Lethbridge Stewart doesn't believe in, it's magic, but what if he's wrong?
Ooh.
So a story set between Times Squared and Blood of Atlantis, written by Sharon Bidwell.
Why does that name sound familiar to me?
It's a good question.
That's not familiar now that you say that.
Is an author who, as well as writing several novels under the pen name Sharon Maria Bidwell and Sharon Kernow, also wrote books in the Space 1899 and Beyond series. Which one of those
You
was
mean 1999?
Nope, 1899.
1899?
Yeah, it's the Candy Jar.
Oh, that's
one of
that.
which
Oh,
was
yeah,
co-written by
yeah,
Andy
yeah.
Francomano.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I don't think. Are those Candy Jar books or not? But Andy wrote.
He did
Some of
co-write
those,
one
yeah.
of them, at least one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty sure there's more. Other than that, I'm not sure, Glenn. That could just be where you know it from.
Could be. I was looking into those because I was going to order those. Andy had suggested those. What else?
That's it. News.
Ah.
Kind of a quiet week. Obviously, the 53rd anniversary was Wednesday.
Came and went. Did anybody watch Adventures in Time and Space?
I thought about it and went home and passed out.
I watched it. I did watch something this week because something I already seen. I did watch it when I got home from work that night.
Still as good?
It is still as good.
I've been meaning to go back and rewatch it because it's been a really long time since I've watched it.
Well, probably 3 years.
Probably. Maybe 2.
At a guess.
Maybe 2. I might have watched it when I got it on Blu-ray. Well, shall we move on to our reviews?
Let's.
What would you gentlemen like to tackle first?
Power of the Daleks.
Power of the Daleks.
So we'll be reviewing episode 1 and 2 of this.
Hopefully everybody's had a chance to see it. It aired on BBC America on Saturday, and then it dropped on various platforms today for those of us that are getting it through iTunes or other various digital forms.
I suppose we'll sound the spoiler warning now.
We should.
Potentially. Because you've had a week to watch episode 1.
50-year spoiler warning.
A day for episode. Well, it wasn't available. Unless you were there. Unless you can legitimately say, I was there when that aired. You haven't seen it.
Seen it, but you could have heard it.
You could have heard it.
Because I'm in that boat. I'm actually going to...
Or read it.
I'm going to mostly talk about the animation and the aspects of it, and not necessarily go into the review. I think you guys would probably agree. It's kind of hard to review a story when we don't have all of it yet.
It really is.
And I think we could review them episode at a time.
I can review elements of it.
But and I think that's okay. I think it's fair. But I have listened to this. I've watched the reconstruction, and I have watched a fan-made version of it. So I'm very familiar with this story. So haven't read it yet, but maybe we'll do that in.
That's what we should do
too.
with the full one.
Yeah,
I have it on there.
All right.
Reading it.
Cool. Well, what do you guys think so far? As far as the animation goes, here's my thing. I'm enjoying it, and I'm ecstatic that they animated this thing. I'm glad to have it. I'm glad to have it in our collections. I'm glad they did it. I hope they continue based on this and continue to animate things. I think I have some issues with the animation, although I'm appreciative of it. I talked a little bit last week about how it's the computer animated, almost like paper dolls, moving them around, which is when you're animating things quickly, you don't have time to do frame by frame. You do them in a computer. This is kind of what you get. So I'm accepting of that. I think my biggest problem with it is the likenesses of people. Number one, Ben doesn't look anything like Ben.
Yeah.
He doesn't look anything like Michael Craze. I think Paulie looks great. I think
Paulie looks great.
That one's dead on. And the Doctor's okay. I'm fine with the Doctor, but everybody looks angry. Everybody has these really dark,
sharp lines,
and everybody looks angry, and that just bothers me. I get used to it after a while. But
the thing with the animation is, it's everything else but the people are gorgeous. I was noticing it while watching this. The Daleks look phenomenal. The backgrounds look great.
The console shot.
The console
on the first
looked
episode
wonderful.
Looks great.
It's just, I think it's one of those things where when you
sharp
animate
lines,
people, it's hard to do.
Anything
it's hard
with
to
sharp
make it look
lines
realistic.
and technological, those look great because it's a computer doing it. But you're right. When you start dealing with features and things like that, we've seen worse as far as animation goes.
Oh yeah,
but it's just not quite there.
Looking at you.
It's just not quite there for me. And so again, that being said, I'm enjoying the fact that we have it, and I'm enjoying the story. I mean, I'm familiar with the story, so I know what's going to happen. It's nice to be able to see it moving. It's nice to be able to see it in action. I remember listening to this one particularly, and there being a lot of audio, lack of dialogue, and so there's a lot of these gray
ambient
spaces.
sound noise.
Yeah. And I listened to one that I believe was narrated, and so that's kind of filled in, but it's just there's not a lot going on audioly, so you don't get a lot. So they seem to the pace of this is a lot better because I'm actually seeing something happen in this one as well. So
I can agree with that. Going into it, I'd heard that the animation was a little herky-jerky with that kind of, you mentioned construction paper, almost like South Park. But South Park, I think, has kind of evolved in the however many years they've been on now, where it's not what it was. And it started, and I went, no, this is fine. This looks just like the other anime stuff. Until somebody walked.
Yeah. It's the walkings that's the worst.
And then all of a sudden it was like, wow, there's a stick up the puppet, and they're kind of moving it across the screen, and the legs are flailing around. And it almost looks like the waistlines are not where they ought to be. The whole, I'm fine with it. It's all of it, I think, is gorgeous. Until somebody walks, and I almost wish that it was done a little more like the old Star Trek, series with the Hanna-Barbera, where it was just talking heads until you absolutely had to have an action scene.
If you're going to do the simple animation, then simplify the animation. Yeah,
but I understand where they were coming from, wanting to do this as probably closely to the original as they could, as opposed to extrapolating much. Now, I haven't seen the original, so I don't know how much they've changed.
I believe they had telesnaps as reference points, so I think they're borrowing heavily from any at least anything that visual representation.
Any visual representation of it at all. Yeah. But having said that, I like you, I'm just appreciative to have it in an animated format, and maybe the standpoint that because this one is a 6-parter. And there was so much more to animate versus the ones that we only did 1 or 2.
Scale back
maybe we had to scale back on the costs, sure. and so doing it.
Well, I don't think it's even cost. I think it is. I think it has to do with time. I think they probably started this project last year, at the beginning of the year, and when you're doing cell animation frame by frame, you got a lot of time, and it takes years to do a Disney film. Even in the computer animated Disney films of today, they certainly take less time, but it still takes a lot of time. And when you're doing an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of animation for a Doctor Who story, you got to knock it out really quick.
Yeah,
that's how they did it. So.
I really look forward to seeing the color version of it, because I do wonder if some of that animation with the people, granted, it won't help the motions, but the style of the people might be a little eased and not be as harsh.
Maybe just a little coloring will make the difference on them as opposed to just the black and white.
Because we're seeing the sharp lines, and they probably, I don't know, maybe they had to increase the lines and make them more harsh to make the black and white so those lines stand out, so the faces look right instead of just a wash of just one color. I don't know, but I'm enjoying the animation. I kind of have the similar issues, but it's not bothering me enough to go, oh god, this is horrible. I think part of it is also
me neither.
The story is also good enough so far for me.
The story is so good, and I have always enjoyed this story.
That I'm champing at the bit to watch more of it because I want to know what happens. Obviously, to some extent, I know what's going to happen, but
all bad.
Yes.
Now, is it just me, or does the one scientist, and I can't remember his name, I haven't gotten his names down yet.
Mr. Octagonal Glasses.
Yeah. Anybody think he reminds you of Niter from...
oh, totally.
A little bit, yeah. I can see that.
I keep looking at it and going, I can't get the fact that I think this is Niter out of my head.
I will say that I sat down and I popped it on, and I don't know why I kind of had in my head that, okay, well, I've got my homework, for the podcast on, and then I'm going to do this. And it started with the regeneration, like right off the bat, like
what
it just
this?
Anything. It didn't matter. It was just in my head that I don't normally multitask, but sometimes it's like, well, I've got other things that I absolutely have to get done. So I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and I'll put this away while I'm got this on. And it jumped right into the regeneration without the opening credit sequence, and
that threw me.
It threw me, and then it immediately it ground me to a stop. Going, no. This is new, remember? You've not seen this, at all.
Oh, wow.
You've got to sit down and watch this. And then the regeneration started, and immediately I was captivated, and I dropped everything that I was doing and just kind of stared at the television for 28 minutes because it was just, compelling. And it was doubly fascinating to see a regeneration that I've never seen before and how it was handled.
We saw it at the end of 10th Planet.
But not the
other side.
Not the back side of it.
Oh, we saw the regeneration. You mean the post-regeneration?
The post-regeneration. and the fact that they called it a renewal in the show, and how they were handling the regeneration sickness without it being regeneration sickness, and just, everything that went along with it was
that's
like,
the
wow.
The interesting thing about that is, if you put yourself in the perspective of, we're watching this retroactively, and so all of the doctors, for the most part, have had some sort of regeneration issue that they've gone through. it's manifested in various forms. And so it's interesting to go back when we didn't really have. In fact, I think when you place this, it's more of it wasn't really. They weren't conscious of saying he's having regeneration issues. They weren't conscious of that. They didn't know where they're going with this Doctor. That's what it boils down to. And so the Doctor was just being aloof and being mysterious and things like that. And so with our eyes, we look back on it and think this is just because we know where Patrick Troughton as the second Doctor went with the character. This is so different that we look at it and think, it's easy for us to say that's the regeneration sickness. That's the effect of the regeneration.
Yeah, no, I get where you're going with
that. But if you think about it, at the time in the 1960s, it was like that no one knew. No one had ever experienced regeneration, and even the people that were writing it didn't say he's going to go through like this weird stoic change that and then eventually he'll kind of come out of it. That wasn't even thought of. That was just the progression of the story. So I'm sorry.
It makes me wonder. I mean, it's as you said, it's easy for us to write it off as it's the regeneration sickness, but it makes me wonder now how many later ones were kind of purposely modeled after this. Maybe this is where regeneration sickness came from because everybody went, well, he was crazy after that, so let's do that, and
could be.
See, and I never thought that while watching it. I never thought of the regeneration sickness. I guess I just, especially after seeing Underwater Menace and reading the Macatera.
We keep calling it sickness. It's not. Sickness is the wrong term.
Effects, but after seeing those and seeing how Patrick and the second Doctor was early in his regeneration, I just thought that was more of that. I never thought, he's just suffering from whatever weird post-regeneration issues
and that's exactly what it is, because if you'll notice when we listen to or watch reconstruction of the Highlanders, and then we all are familiar enough with Underwater Menace, he's still kind of this same
it's just early,
aloof, and
mysterious. It's a mysterious second Doctor, but it's not that different. I mean,
Macatera, another one where
he's still the same second Doctor, at least to me, as far as I can see in what he's doing. It's just almost more the surroundings are so different and alien to him that he's kind of taking his time, taking things in instead of instantly running and going.
Right. He's a little more reserved, a little less childlike.
Yeah, and
not necessarily that those elements aren't there.
In later stories where with Victoria and even with some with Zoe that he's kind of the same way. The second Doctor does have his moments of being reserved and mysterious. So it just feels like he's let off of that a lot as he went further into the regeneration. But this is why he does that later, is because he started out this way.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, I agree. But
it's interesting that Ben is so, who are you? What's going on?
And Polly's
by episode 2, she's like, all right, yep, it's the Doctor.
Yeah. That was one of the things that I thought was really well done. Was I mean, it's just masterful with, because this is a pretty big shakeup.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to replace the lead actor in the show, but we're going to do it in front of you. This isn't like Dick York and Dick Sargent. This is like we're going to call out the fact that we're going to make attention. Look, it's a different guy. And so you kind of get both reactions from your audience out of the two companions. You get but I want it to be the Doctor. This is still the Doctor, right? From Polly. And then you get no, I don't believe it. Who is this imposter from Ben? And so they're both giving the audience, mirroring what we're going through, going, yeah, who is this guy? Well, but I want it to be him. And, it is you. Well, but maybe not. And it just, the whole thing was really well done. I'm just really, I don't know, I'm really shocked by that. I just kind of expected them to flub it and have lucked their way through it.
And have both companions be like, all right, yeah, it's the Doctor. Of course it is.
And maybe a lot of it was luck and flubbing their way through it, and I'm just accepting of it now. The hindsight of rose-colored glasses.
For listeners that might not get the reference that Sean was referring to, Dick York and Dick Sargent were the actors that played Darren on Bewitched. And about halfway through the series of Bewitched, Darren, who was originally played by Dick Sargent, was replaced by Dick York. And there was nothing ever said about it. So, I mean, because they're playing the same character. But anyway, they
kind of look the same.
That's the reference, especially for anybody maybe in the UK that don't listen or that don't know Bewitched well enough.
Anyway, so yeah, I thought it was just really well put together,
constructed.
And yeah, I was very, very impressed with that first episode, coming off of the hind end of it, and finally seeing how this all came out, because I haven't listened to it. I have no information about Power of the Daleks other than Daleks are in it,
and it's the first Patrick
Troughton. Yeah. That's pretty much all I knew about it. So, and it's 6 parts.
A hindsight thing that I kind of wish would have happened that other Doctors got to do is it is a bit weird that he wakes up in his new form, already changed clothes with the cloak over him.
Yeah.
That's the smallest of complaints I can find with the whole thing.
My smallest of complaints is when they're captured in, I think it was the first episode, or not captured. They're not captured. They're in their quarters, and at one point, Stephen and Polly have Ben and Polly have the pajama outfit on. And then they cut back to them later, and they have their old clothes on. And then later, it's suggested that they need to get different clothes for them.
Oh,
and I thought,
I saw that, and
super.
I watched that and went, "Oh, we need to get some extra clothes for them." And then they turn, and then it cuts to them, and they're in their outfits, and I went, "I thought they'd already changed."
Yeah.
And it bugged me. And so when the episode ended, I went back and looked for it. And it was like, sure enough, there's a scene there that's like, oh, this is like Hanna-Barbera animation.
Well, that seems like an animation issue.
It's an animation
I'm pretty sure in the actual show, Patrick was
in
his
new
new
outfit.
It
wasn't.
Yeah.
No. Well,
Patrick was in his actual new outfit when he sat up.
Right.
And
yeah. I don't know. Well,
I'd
have to go back because Patrick has the checkered pants, but at the beginning of the episode, did he have the checkered pants or did he have the pinstripes?
I don't remember.
Because I thought he had the real, because even Hartnell at the end of 10th Planet has checkered pants. They're the little tiny checks, where there's like pinstripes going both ways, both directions, creating that pattern. And I could have swore that when Patrick Troughton got up, he's just had the cloak, the shirt, and because he even doesn't he.
The bow tie's already on too.
Was the bow tie on? Oh, okay.
And tied.
And
because he messes with the bow tie at the beginning of the animation.
Yeah, so I don't know if the tied part was something that was lost without the video aspect of it. So maybe he would tie it. I mean, there is just audio and some of that stuff. So I don't know.
Man,
I just chalked all that regeneration stuff up to what actually happened at the time, as opposed to any animation stuff.
That definitely is true.
Yeah, no, he does wake up in the new outfit, and here's why. The first regeneration is really rough, and it burned up his clothes, and the TARDIS provided him with new ones from stores. Just T-matted them right onto him, and figured, well, this will do for now. I'm in a hurry. I've got to grab something. Threw him in that, and he just kept it.
I'll accept that headcanon for
now. That's how that works.
Why not?
I wonder, that's something I wonder, when the second regeneration came about, when they went into Pertwee's era, did they consciously sit down and decide, this is how we're going to handle this now that we know this is an ongoing thing? I mean, did they begin to write rules for it at that time and say, this is how this is going to work? Or?
I wonder if that was more along the lines of Baker with Tom, because they didn't know who Pertwee was who was going to be the third Doctor. Wasn't that why we didn't get actual?
That's why we didn't get a regeneration sequence on
proper,
screen.
Yeah,
that's why he stumbles out of the TARDIS. They didn't write any. Let's get this straight. Back in the day, they didn't care about that kind of thing. They didn't write any sort of rules. They didn't do. It was. I think it was as the show progressed, and probably as Keith's alluding to, it wasn't until the Tom Baker era that they kind of decided that they would focus on the fact that they were actually changing the clothes. Because even Colin Baker sets up in the clothes of Peter Davison, and Peter Davison sets up in the clothes of Tom Baker, and so there was no forethought ahead of that. That's why I just wonder if the writer of Spearhead, you can expunge any. Well, the thing is, his point is that the writer of Spearhead,
he just needed to have something to put him on into.
Yeah, exactly. He's coming
right,
out.
But did he do that from the standpoint of I've got to put him in an outfit, or did he do that from the standpoint of what's always bugged me is that Patrick Troughton sat up wearing this outfit. I'm going to fix it.
No,
and just
I don't think
did it that way.
I think
on
just from everything that you read, nobody even thought about that sort of thing. It wasn't until the 1970s that they started.
Next time I see Terrence, I'm going to ask. That's a story he hasn't told yet. I'm going to ask him.
I'm trying to remember what outfit he does.
Well, he steals the outfit from the hospital.
But
he comes out of the TARDIS in the black jacket and the check pants.
Yeah. So
much too short for him. No, I don't know.
They would have been. I don't feel like I can comment too much more on the rest of the story, though. But because the first episode ends, so much of the first episode and some of the second episode focus so much on the companion's reaction to the regeneration. I felt like that was a good thing to touch on. The Dalek stuff was kind of interesting.
I sat here watching this thinking to myself how marvelous Psychic Paper has been. Because he could just walk up and claim to be, everybody would believe he'd be this inspector and he wouldn't need a button that says all access.
The button works the same way as in
That's what I mean. It's
just somebody wouldn't have to die.
This is a really nice, all-inclusive pass that they've given him for this episode, and normally it's not this easy.
Oh, yeah.
And wow, Psychic Paper is a great thing because it makes it this easy.
Yeah.
Although I question the security methods that here's a button, don't lose it. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I get one of those for the White House? Thanks. There's my button. I'm going to give it to Keith today. You go be me. But, no, like I said, and, as soon as they show the capsule, it's like, oh, that's it. That's the Dalek thing. I know the Daleks are in there, even though I didn't. But, and then,
that first cliffhanger reveal is pretty great of the Dalek rolling
screen
out
underneath.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Well, coming out and then
the first one was
under the door.
Well, you see the Dalek and then it goes. Yeah.
Did the Dalek move? I didn't think the Dalek moved.
I can't remember.
Just that one arm falling down, but I don't think it did at the end.
Did the arm fall down too in that one?
When they first got into the capsule and they're covered in cobwebs and everything, one of the suction cups is up and it actually goes ka-tunk, and Polly screams because that's what you have to do.
And then they see the thing.
And then they see the thing scurry under the door.
But just both of those reveals were pretty great.
That was the one that when he opened the second door.
Oh yeah.
And it went whoosh, and did that thing. I was like, I know what this is. All suspense is gone. I know what this is. I'm very excited. And the sound effects and everything are right there.
Power of the Daleks.
I know, but it doesn't matter. We discussed it like with the New York crappy one that it didn't matter.
Evolution of the Daleks. Daleks in Manhattan.
That one. When we get the view through the eye stalk, they're in the title. We know they're coming, but we still get that giddy. Oh, here it comes. Even though they spoil the surprise, it's like, yeah, here they come.
So far, the power aspect of the Daleks is part of the story. Surprises me a little bit. I did not realize that's what the power part of the title meant.
They need power. I think it's one of those twofold titles. Where eventually it'll pay off the second way.
You thought it was going to be might of the Daleks versus the juice of the Daleks.
I just never knew.
Energy of the Daleks.
I know they gave us a couple of lines of the Doctor has told us about the Daleks, but Ben's reaction to these things are evil and horrible seems a little stronger than they should since he hasn't encountered the Daleks personally. Because the last time we saw them was the chase, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while.
Yep.
It's been a good long while then. Yeah,
Ben and Polly haven't even had him.
So you can tell horror stories of Daleks, but I don't.
Now the Doctor, I can't remember. It seems to me that in War Machines, the Doctor, because he presumes it might be Daleks.
It's been a while since we've watched that one.
Tells Ben and Polly about the Daleks at that time, but
we just watched that one recently.
It was a while ago, wasn't it? A couple of years.
No. We just watched it this year. Rewatched it.
We did for when we went to Time Eddie.
Oh yeah,
none of us.
You may have rewatched it. I didn't.
None of us were there.
I was asleep.
You watched it.
I watched it. I guess maybe you weren't there.
That was a Friday Night Who.
Was it the week of
Time
Eddie?
No, that was 5 Doctors.
Oh, there was 5 Doctors.
I don't remember watching the War Machine since the last time we did it.
I listened to the audio on the way down to Time Eddie, but that was it. That was.
Well, regardless, it seemed...
You watched it before Time Eddie. Maybe that's what you're thinking of, Sean.
Just preparing yourself.
Maybe that's what it was.
Both you and I did that.
You know what? I'm going back to the schedule. I think you're right. I just decided to watch it because it was a Polly episode and I wanted some some background on her.
So just Ben's
Never
kind
mind.
of reaction still seems a bit stronger than I think it should be for never meeting them. But, you got to sell that to somebody. So
You gotta sell it to the audience.
yeah, the audience and the people. If they said, yeah, this guy says they're horrible, they wouldn't believe him.
Well, the other thing that's interesting about that is the fact that Ben's the one that's kind of doubting him through the whole thing, and yet when it comes to this, he's like, they're evil, they're this and this. I mean, it's all information that's come from the Doctor.
Maybe
so.
if it had been Polly saying that how evil they were because she trusts this new Doctor, I would be able to swallow it a little easier. But because Ben is doing both at the same time, it seems a little weird.
Maybe that's Ben starting to accept it.
It could be.
This guy knows the Daleks are evil.
maybe
The old
the
Doctor said the
issue
Daleks were evil, so okay.
will resolve itself for me as the story progresses.
Yeah, it could. Maybe they won't touch on it again.
Who knows?
I did like all the callbacks. I thought that was kind of a fun thing, too, to really kind of drive home the point that, yeah, this is the same guy when he mentions the Crusade and Saladin with the blade, and then
Marco Polo.
and kind of going back through the greatest hits, as it were. So,
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Well, should we move on then to what was the name of the
I can't pronounce it. Justice of Jalxar.
Jalxar?
Jalxar. They call him the Pugilist. It is the dawn of a new century and a vigilante is on the loose. The scourge of the criminal underclass. The savior of the virtuous and the protector of the weak. The police are baffled, the public enamored. But Professor George Lightfoot and Henry Gordon Jago are on the case. Or at least they will be when they've finished their beer. What is the source of the Pugilist's spectacular supernatural powers? Is he alone in his noble quest? And what is his connection to the spat of corpses discovered around London? As they descend further into a nefarious netherworld, the infernal investigators may be out of their depth. They're going to need help if they're going to get out of this alive. The help of an old friend and his new assistant. The help of the Doctor and Romana.
Dun dun dun.
I liked it.
Yeah, this one was a lot of fun.
Quite delightful.
And a large portion of that, I think, can rest squarely on the shoulders of Jago and Lightfoot.
Yeah,
Because
I would
they're
agree.
just such enjoyable characters. And now I'm ready to start that series.
Now, this wasn't their first return, right? They'd
Yeah.
been around back
Yeah.
for a while by this point.
Yeah, but I like the way that they played off the fact that this would have been their first time they would have met the Doctor again.
Yes.
I like the way they did that. So
And there's a lot of great references to their previous adventure. I really like the bit where Romana was offered food and no utensils. For some reason got the impression I wouldn't need them. The story itself is pretty fun too, and enjoyable. A nice vigilante in Victorian England with a spaceship that crashed to help spur him on. I rather enjoyed it.
I really like the idea of this Judge Dredd style robot that's just dispensing justice as it sees fit.
It reads your mind and kind of read your guilt. Yeah, it's a neat idea.
And the only thing that kind of keeps it in check is its handler.
Yeah.
I'm a little tired of Spring Hill Sophie. Or Spring Hill Jack, whatever
Spring
that.
Hill Jack. This is only, the second reference? Or is this,
I don't know.
has there been more than that?
It feels like the third or fourth story that we've had that has had the idea of it in it. Maybe not. It may have only been two, but it's just kind of like, okay, we get that this was a person. Maybe because I'm not British, I don't find the allure of that. But
There's a comic, too, just so you know.
yeah. I mean, it's fine. It is what it is.
So should we do a companion archive on Spring
You could at this point.
Three
On the big
stories.
finish in. But, yeah, no, I thought Tom was in fine form. I thought Romana wasn't given quite as much to do as I was kind of hoping for. But when you have Jago and Lightfoot, it's kind of easy to be overshadowed.
But what's great was when she got captured. They were on their way out by the time they were on their way in.
Yeah.
So that was a nice. She still got to do enough stuff that she wasn't waiting to get rescued by the three guys.
Right.
Yeah, the whole faking falling on the floor to pick up the glass so that they could use that to cut the ropes later. That was neat.
Yeah.
I love how...
And her bemoaning the fact that Time Lords are so beyond everything but rope.
There's a lot of clever little lines in this, and I think it comes down to the fact that we were writing a story that have Jago Lightfoot, which already is a lot of humor. That humor is spread also to the Doctor and Romana, and it works really well.
Yeah. Well, and plus, when it's a Tom Baker story, there's going to be a lot of humor there anyways. Just because Tom brings so much levity to the character and alienness to it that makes it funnier. Obviously, he can be very serious when need be, but typically his stories and his character is more fun and more funny, at least for me.
Like the ending, the climax, when he's convincing the robot to come after him as opposed to anybody else, and admitting his guilt over the millions of lives, and it's like, wow.
He carries that weight with him, but still can crack a joke the next line.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of a heavy moment for Tom.
Oh,
I mean, it's not something you normally, don't really get with his Doctor. And then, obviously, as you and I often discuss, in light of the War Doctor and all of that it's just you get so much more of that, even though that's yet to come. But it just you buy it.
If the Doctor is feeling at this point, imagine it kind of adds more weight to the War Doctor of how much more blood he feels is on his hands at that point down the road.
But then being able to make a joke of it later is just okay. That's still Tom.
Still the Fourth Doctor.
And what a great plan! Come run along the dock.
Jetty.
Oh, you fell in. What a shame.
I love that he showed up and just sonicked it and caused havoc for the machine just because it's steam powered.
Yeah.
And he was able to overpower it with the water.
And I wasn't sure at first that I liked it when she says, well, just sonic it. And he's like, oh, I left it in my other coat. And then I dealt with that. You've shown me how efficient the sonic is again. That it's this, it can do everything tool. And now you've taken it away from me, and I'm not sure that I'm happy with that either. Because quite honestly, that seemed kind of lame that he left it in his other coat. I mean, come on.
But it worked. Because they all dressed in disguises in order to go into the pub, and so...
And they did need a more permanent solution than the sonic.
Yeah.
I thought it worked really well.
Well, I don't know how permanent a rusting robot at the bottom of the...
That's more permanent than temporarily disabling it with the sonic.
Yeah. I suppose there's that.
I really like how the Fourth Doctor, apparently whenever he lands in this time period, insists on dressing like Sherlock Holmes. That is something I think he would do.
What was it? Romana said, I don't think they actually really wore deer... Was it deer runners?
Deer stalkers.
Deer stalkers. I don't think they actually wore deer stalkers in this time. He doesn't care. He's going to wear his Sherlock Holmes hat.
I have this image in my head now of the Sixth Doctor wearing a similar outfit, but bright, multicolored plaid with the hat and just the exact same outfit with the cloak and the overcoat, but just make it look like the rainbow coat. I don't know why, but somebody draw that. Somebody get out there and Photoshop that together for me.
I have much more to say. It's a good, fun story, and I think it's neat to have a vigilante kind of sort of semi-superhero in Victorian London running around eradicating the bad guys. And the little love story of the fact that he fell in love with this girl and he wanted to protect her and get her away from that life. I think it was very, very well done.
It's a very well done story. It's a nice, tight, self-contained.
And
here it is.
They weren't afraid to go to the fact that he sacrifices himself for her and realizes the error of his ways, even though the Doctor warned him ahead of time. Wouldn't let him come with him because of that. It's good. I liked it.
I liked the sound effects on the robot too.
Yeah.
That it had that really great when it spoke and it's got the deep gravelly robot voice, and you just, yeah, I can envision this thing, you know.
But isn't it described
with a cloak over it?
But isn't it described as a little tiny robot, and it's got a cloak on it, making it look a little more menacing than it is? Because he says it's, I think it's Lightfoot that says something to the fact that it's barely knee high to something. He didn't use the grasshopper, knee high to grasshopper. But he says barely knee high to something. He had some sort of colloquialism that he used.
Yeah, in my head it's a quark, but
yeah. So,
but higher pitched or deeper pitched voice.
Yes. It's good. I liked it. I quite enjoyed it.
When watching Talons of Wing Chang, I remember liking Django and Lightfoot. Django.
Gordon Henry Jago.
That was a bit of fun and humor too.
But this story more so, when I then found out, they did a whole line of Big Finish audios, that made me go, really? Okay. I enjoyed those characters, but enough to give them a full.
Well, we had them
thing?
we had them in that Eighth Doctor story where was it Eighth Doctor?
Did we?
This is the first audio that I remember.
No. We had him with an Eighth Doctor story where I can't remember the details of it. There was an actor.
Not audio.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had an audio with him. I can't remember what it was. Maybe I listened to it on my own.
I don't think they've appeared, at least yet, in any of the Eighth Doctors that we have done. And I can also vouch for
maybe you're thinking of the last...
Sixth Doctor.
The Sixth Doctor.
Yes, they do come back in the Sixth.
I'm sorry, it was in a Sixth Doctor audio. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, not Eighth Doctor. Which we have listened to.
No, it's The Last Adventure, according to TARDIS Wiki.
Oh, I listened to it. That's why. That's why I remember it, because I have already listened to that. Okay, never mind.
Is it The Last Adventure? Because I thought there was another one.
There's a couple of them
Venus, with Voyage to Venus is with the Sixth Doctor as well.
Voyage to the New World. I'm trying to see who that is. That's the Sixth Doctor also. So it is a number of Sixth Doctor ones, but we haven't done any of those.
The Last Adventure is the one I'm thinking of, and yes, I listened to that one on my own. So.
Well, having not listened to those or really experienced them in audio, I now get the appeal more. The alliteration that they give, I still have trouble keeping track of who's who. Jago, I think. The alliteration they give him and the way he speaks is just wonderful. And now I do want to... I was always kind of, okay, we'll get to the Jago and Lightfoot audios eventually, but now I'm much more interested to go dip into those.
Excuse me. It's one of those that, and I remember one of the complaints that I have about Talons is that these are two really great, very well-rounded, very well thought out, interesting characters, and putting them together is sheer genius. Unfortunately, they don't get together, it seems like, until episode 5 or 6, if I remember the story correctly.
Yeah.
And that it's just like that we needed more of this, and that whoever watched Talons a whole lot and then went, you know what this needs? I need more of just these guys. Thank you for figuring that out. So I'm kind of I'm with you. I'm ready to delve into those.
And especially now that Big Finish has the new Who licensed, I really want to see Jago and Lightfoot with Vastra and the team.
Oh, that would be really
because
cool.
It's the same time period.
Yeah, that would be really
It's the 1890s, so I mean...
There are 12 Jago and Lightfoot series?
Yeah.
My
I guess they do have one audio with Strax.
Wow. Yeah, they do have... That's right. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if that's a standalone or if you need to have listened to the other 12. Well, I guess it's after Series 10, so the other 10 series. That being said, there's only 4 stories per series, so I mean, it's not too...
No, it's not insurmountable. It's just, I just think it's one of those fun things. It's like, yeah, we're going to renew you for another season. Oh, goody.
Yeah.
And I seem to remember reading an interview with one of them where they talked about, did you ever, in your wildest dreams, think you would be coming back to this character all these years later? And they're like, no.
Those two guys must be considerably old, too, because they were older gentlemen in Talons, and that was in 1977, 78? It was even earlier than that. That's just, wow. It's a good thing they've put 12 series under their belt now.
It's probably one of those things after they saw how season 1 came out and how magical it must be. They went, I want you to just continue to greenlight this. There's no question. We're going to get as much information out of these guys as we can. Put them to work. But yeah, they're definitely the highlight of this. Not that, like I said, not that the story's bad or needing a highlight in any way, because I think it would have worked just as fine without them.
Yeah.
But having them there is just so much more fun and enjoyable, and it just elevates the rest of the cast in my mind.
Yeah,
so.
I would agree.
And I was a little worried about not doing Talons before diving into this one.
I think you're okay.
But
there's only
fell right back into it.
Yeah, there's a couple of references, but other than that, I mean...
And the references were obvious.
And it helps that it's been 10 years for the characters. It's not fresh for them either. So
now, do we know chronologically, have they, the Sixth Doctor adventures, are they sandwiched in between those 10 years? Or I was kind of hoping that this would be the next chronological step for Jago and Lightfoot coming back to the Doctor,
well,
but I don't know.
Now that you've said that, you remind me there were 10 years in between, it just seems strange that they would have done that. Maybe that's why they're more... Maybe that's why it can't be, because of the fact that they just saw the Doctor in his 6th incarnation, and suddenly they're seeing him in his 4th incarnation again. So that might be why that's reacting. I was looking through the wiki to see if they had any sort of continuity on that, but I don't see anything, although I'm struggling to get my iPad to work here.
Yeah, I don't see any... Well...
some of the 6th Doctor stuff, according to this, takes place in the 4th, 5th, and 6th season of Jago and Lightfoot.
So... according to the TARDIS Wiki, of course, the Doctor says at the end he will be reunited with him in the fullness of time. 6 years earlier in Jago and Lightfoot's timeline, they met the Doctor's 6th incarnation.
There you go.
Who was operating under a pseudonym.
So it did fit well, but if he was under a pseudonym...
But then they did learn his true identity.
Oh, okay. So yes.
And traveled with him in the TARDIS for a brief period.
So that explains the reaction. To an extent.
Yeah, Voyage of Venus and Voyage of the New World take place between series 4 and 5 of Jago and Lightfoot. But yeah, that's that might have been the reason for that reaction.
That I think is probably the biggest challenge to Big Finish. So people ask, where should I jump on? It's like, you can jump on anywhere. The problem, or the challenge lies in, once you have jumped on, they're so good about fitting things into television holes, and then they go back and fit things into holes that they left.
Right.
That you're kind of like, I need a map.
But that being said, the most stories still stand alone well enough that you don't need to worry about those things.
Yeah,
it was a small throwaway line in this one of them. It's a nod to those who know that history. Otherwise, it didn't lose anything in the story for me.
Yeah, no, there's very few of them have we listened to that's like, oh man, I wish we'd have done that first. But
yeah. Of course, we're also kind of going through in order.
That's my OCD.
For the most part.
So now I'm already thinking ahead, going, well, we'll listen to 1 through 5 of Jago and Lightfoot, and then we'll have to go seek out the 6th Doctor and find out where we're at in his timeline, so that we can put those in before we do season 6 through 12.
The two that you were alluding to, the first two, those are actually standalone stories. Those aren't in the main range. So
yeah, I think they're all special releases. Yeah. They have not appeared in the main range at all, according to the TARDIS Wiki.
Doesn't make me feel any better about where they're placed.
It still depends on the
the
6th Doctor's timeline.
My point of saying that is you don't have to worry about interrupting the main range. Continuity that you're running. So.
Well, it was like stepping aside from Evelyn to do Frobisher.
Right.
I know this is at a different point, but
right.
Anyway, thoroughly enjoyable.
Yes, I'm looking forward to more 4th Doctor adventure stories.
All right, what do we got coming up on the schedule, Sean?
Well, a few changes. So if you have not been to our website recently, I would strongly recommend that if you are interested in what's coming up. We are doing Web of Fear for Friday Night Who, both this coming week and next, because it's a 6-parter, so we're splitting it in half. Next week's show is going to have our look at Power of the Daleks Episode 3, which will have dropped by that point, so spoiler in advance for that. And they're also going to do kind of another book review segment where we're going to take a look at some more Candy Jar shorts. We're going to do The Creatures in the Cave by Rick Cross, which was, I don't know, somehow we missed that from Havoc Files 1. So we're going to put it on the schedule now. We're going to do The Last Duty by Christopher Bryant. Eve of the Fomorians by Robert Mamome. I think that's how it's pronounced, Robert. You'll have to let me know. and then The Lost Skin, Episode 1 by Andy Frankham-Allen. So we will knock those out next week. And then after Web of Fear, parts 4 through 6 the following week, we will be doing Power of the Daleks, Episode 4, and a look at the just-released Lethbridge Stewart book, Times Squared, by Rick Cross. And further visions and redendums are on the schedule going all the way up through the end of the year.
And if you are already doing... And if you are already supporting us on Patreon, we appreciate it. But if you're not, why not? Why don't you do so? All of the money,
why not?
All of that money that you donate to this show through Patreon goes right back into this podcast. You can find a link to that on our website, travelingthevortex.com. If you want to send us feedback, Keith, how can you do that?
You can send it to feedback@travelingthevortex, or just go to our website, travelingthevortex.com, and fill out the Send Us Feedback tab. There's a nice little form there. It makes it quick and easy, and you'll get a confirmation that you sent feedback. Yeah. You can also reach out to us on social media. We are on Facebook and Twitter. All right.
Is that going to do it for this week, guys?
I believe so.
Yeah.
If so, until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.